Ladies and gentlemen, Pronago is bringing you another Cosmonarchy tournament cast. We're in the Tribunal stage, looking to qualify one player from this whole dang kit and caboodle towards the Battlement stage of Acropolis 4. Set to take place in April, or maybe May. We'll see. Probably May, because I think April is all the gauntlets. Anyway, we have Neblime versus TopRamen, a mainstay of Cosmonarchy. Very fun to see these two having it. And look, Neblime's already doing something cool. Well, he's the Zaffer PROTOSS in the top right. And in the bottom left, we have none other than TopRamen, who's not in the top right, which is maybe an ill omen. Let's see. Going Fulcrum first, and rocking the Platinum color. Look at that. I guessed correctly. We are on Macroglia by BiddyB. Thank you, BiddyB, for all your maps. And Lattice first versus Fulcrum is pretty good for the PROTOSS. It means that you have to, festoon yourself with some kind of Watchdog or Goliath, which might slow down your Vulture production if that's what you are going for. Also, in this particular map, you got these temples, which PROTOSS can use to build proxy structures. That's pretty cool. However, they are also resource depots, so you can return resources to them. And they're placed closer to their resources than you can typically place a town center, which means that when you see this, like, for example, this gas return is pretty quick. It might be something somebody starts to use. I know Shopkeeper Dog did the math on it. Now, this Mason Scout confirms the Lattice open, and I think you're just going to build a Watchdog here. Yeah, I wouldn't... I mean, that is the cost of a Vulture.
This individual is a fraud.
Lattice first is cheating.
Well, there you go. Hit him up says it's cheating. So Neblime is a cheater and disqualified, and also banned. Thank you for the resub, Hit him up. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, this is the price of a single Vulture, and I'm actually not really... Oh, okay. He's going to land it in between the Fulcrums because he wants to just see if he can shoot it down. And actually, he gets so close. And now he's going to go ahead and relocate it. This is hilarious, like, Watchdog boxing, shadow boxing, as the Vassal sees the initial Vulture. So that's very funny. So he's basically done everything he can do to, defend his base with the Watchdog. And now look at this. He's going to go ahead and preemptively move it a little bit closer to somewhere else. Maybe he's just going to send... I don't know where he's going. He's actually just going to Watchdog scout with it. Okay. He's decided that the Vassal is unlikely to come back in. Initial mines are being laid. We got some mostly Lattice units here and a single Zealot. And it looks like Neblime is going to be kind of greedy here. Go for the expand fairly quickly. I say greedy, it's probably... I mean, he'd probably dispute that. He'd be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I would say the reason why that's kind of greedy is that if there's, like, a third Fulcrum, which he didn't get a rescout off since the Watchdog was there, right? If there's a third Fulcrum and a bunch of Vultures, this build does just straight up die on its face because the units you have here are not very good versus a lot of Vultures. Vassal catches a few moving out. There is the Watchdog scout coming in as well. This is going to kind of box Neblime in. Got his manifold on the rally point still. Might want to sync it back up. Indeed he does, because otherwise it would have been bopped. Oh, that Vulture might have been able to escape there, funnily enough, but not quite this time around. Vassal's still scouting around towards the 3 o'clock now. Maybe looking for any cheeky positions. Cyclops in term... Okay, he's got 4 of them, but there's no star pad, so we know there's no drop. That's the number that you can fit in a Trojan, which is the dropship equivalent. Cyclops obviously are a very potent unit. If anybody doesn't know what they do, when they attack, they leave behind a latent explosive shell that detonates after 2 seconds. So it's kind of like playing hot potato with your units. You really don't want to be in that area. That means melee is really good against them because it is unsafe splash. It's like a mini siege tank shot, It does damage air units as well that are there, so that's pretty good. Also, that idol was attacking the gateway. Your eyes did not deceive you there. Neblime just decided, screw that gateway, man. I don't like that one. Trip its paint a little or something. Watchdog is just about ready to burn down, but the Nexus will be seen here, and this is going to indicate to Ramen that he has a little bit of power on the military side. Now, this Vassal is definitely going to be thinking about coming back into things after scouting that the Watchdog flew in, right? But he's kind of just poking around the extremity. He doesn't trust that the Watchdog isn't there, or that there wasn't another Watchdog built, which is, savvy initially, right? Because it's only 2 Watchdog missiles away from death, no matter how you slice it. And it looks like the army was enough to convince Ramen to go back, even though he is down a couple of workers. This isn't really massively ahead for Neblime. What he's been developing behind this is actually just a 3rd gateway and now a Crucible, and I guess a couple idle workers. The interesting thing is that he's definitely going for a cute tech option here. The Crucible does itself unlock Tier 3. So he could be going 3-gate Crucible into Prostration stage here, as an example. Simulacra moving across the map, trying to clear some of those mines. It's working out pretty nicely for him initially. He's just slowly erasing them all. Now he's going to force Ramen to come forth. A little bit of self-damage there, indicating what the Cyclops does. He's also got Matadors out, which are a cool option here because they are going to run some of that armor. Be a little bit scary. If he can get them into the mineral line as well, that would be juicy. So no third base being taken anytime soon by the Terran, and it doesn't look like Neblime is too interested in it himself. Starting to add a little bit of punch to his army. Zealots and Dracodins are going to be your biggest source of damage out of the Crucibles. Yeah, look at that. Ardent Authority coming. Feels like with the way that the army is moving across the map, and Neblime's only kind of catching it here, but with two of his more expensive units, this is a little bit awkward, right? The Matador is actually just going to go ahead and charge. Very thematic, as the Dracodin is wounded to almost nothingness. Yeah, getting that fire on there, starting to rend that armor. Also delays the shield regen a ton, which is probably the more useful thing here for the mech-based army that Ramen is fielding. Charging a little bit further forward. Now he's right on top of all that backline, all those juicy units that do not want to be splashed. The vulture count's pretty low in this army, so we aren't going to see any additional units be made. You can see those Matadors really just pushing Neblime back, but he's so good at kiting backwards and letting the shielding work for him when he can. Still, it does look like a lot of those Striders are going to be broken open, and a lot of those units that Ramen lost were a little bit more on the cheap side, right? I mean, nothing really expensive individually. Matadors are coming in to try to absorb some of this. The Cyclops will get their steadied splash eventually done, but definitely looking better for the Protoss the longer the fight goes on. We do have base number 3 coming for both players. A Palladium is on the way to start adding in those Phalanxes, the siege tank equivalent of Cosmonarchy. Definitely a big one. But mostly it's a lot of the same. He started to add in a couple of Blackjacks, capping the ridges. So if Neblime doesn't attack with a concerted force, and he can't really because of all these mines that were laid earlier, we will probably end up seeing Ramen once again seize the advantage in terms of military. And of course he's got that ministry coming. I love that he's out here defending his mines to the degree that he can. And of course, there is an embassy, but I don't see a witness anywhere. Vassal coming back in, the same one from the beginning of the game. Very cool. And now the Protoss army is moving back. We saw Cantors. This third base not quite set up yet. I'm doing it as I say so. Unitary Union on the way for Tier 3 Protoss army units. Crucible should be able to empower it since it's in the power field of it. Now we've got that witness coming, so that's what we're going to need to see. Not for the mines at this point, as much as it just giving him advance warning on things. Anchor's going to go ahead and lift off, as you can see by the pillboxes closing up shop. We will not be able to shoot while lifted. Has to land for that. He's going to just take a little bit of a closer look at this ridge position. Just being a nuisance, man. Just being a nuisance. Protoss army sharking over here to see what it can do to stop this third base from being established easily. Some workers are already transferring over. Ramen is down good 7 workers here, but should still be able to get off to a pretty good start. Now, we do have 1 Phalanx here, but we're going to need a little bit more than that to properly absorb the pressure of this army. Although, at the same time, the Matadors might be sufficient by themselves. The first Cantor is sighted. The Matadors almost don't care initially. They've got so much health. And the Phalanx even deploys so that it can get the necessary shot off. But you will start to see those Cyclops falling like flies between the Dracodins kiting backwards and the Cantor shells doing so much damage. At the same time, most of those Protoss units not very healthy. Many more Phalanxes are coming on down. We've got a total of 7 with 6 more being produced. So, I mean, surely after this we're going to see a round of units that aren't Phalanx. Second Unitary and Architects are going to be the strategy. Oh man, I forget the term of it. I was going to say it in French. I'm not French, guys. But anyway, the strategy of the day that Neblime is going to be using. And there's tier 2. Okay, all right. So Ramen's going to be the beneficiary of some balance adjustments that just kicked in, where tier 2 makes a little bit takes a little bit less time to make than it used to. It's a lot less time for Zerg. Man, I'm so scared of Psystorm or a Cantor or like anything that deals splash. Good grief. Neblime hasn't scouted it yet. Salivating though. You know, in StarCraft 1, obviously, the pros are very, very adept at dealing with, you know, they time out when the siege tank is on cooldown, right? In Cosmonarchy, they'd be even better because the mortar actually has a travel time instead of it being an instant hit. So you'll unload a unit, the Phalanxes will shoot it, you'll pick the unit back up, no damage. Neblime, meanwhile, is... trying to remember that he's got units over here that are supposed to be mining. I'm sure he'll fix that at some point. Setting up his 4th base. 5th on the way as well, so keeping up on the economy. Whereas Ramen is, instead of going for extra ministries at this point, you can see him, I think he was thinking about it at one point, but he's definitely going more towards tier 2. 4 captaincies on the way. I love that the Matadors are here. With the Phalanxes, they should be able to hold off this push, because most of the Terran army is all the way over here. But he's going to need to be pretty precarious here. Oh, dear. Do not leave the Architects unattended. So down the Nexus will go. It was just tank mode Phalanxes. Did not deploy. One thing that you really got to watch out for in both TVP and TVZ is not having your Phalanxes deployed until the enemy army is already basically on top of you. It's a little bit more common in versus Zerg play. But stuff like this is kind of dangerous. Now, it still works out because Neblime pulls away, and so that splash damage that would be happening to the Matadors isn't. The Zealots ended up falling away, and then in that sweet spot where the Phalanxes can hit them really quickly. We also have Phalanxes that deployed over here because it was just on the control group instead of a more localized selection, but now Neblime's getting right on top. The target selection wasn't the greatest there from Ramen, but he still ends up picking off some of the mid-range units. And he's got a couple of these guys on this side, too, that are just adding confusion to the mix. At the same time, a Cantor Architect with those gateway units coming on in. See what they can do. Ministry number 4 may be interrupted in the midst of this 3rd base. Oh yeah, the Architects are happy to siege away. So the longer these projectiles go, the more targets they can attack. Again, the targeting there from the Phalanxes is left to automatic, and that means that a lot of Masons went down. And that wasn't necessarily Neblime targeting them either. That was the friendly splash in some capacity. Need to target down the Cantors. Doesn't look like that ministry needs to be given up here, and Madcaps have started to arrive, but, I mean, spoiler, they're not going to be the difference maker in this fight by themselves. They might just push the enemy back, but they would have been more useful as insurance to shoot down the Zealots and other units that were charging him. Instead, we're going to see these Phalanxes get overrun. More Madcaps are arriving a little bit too late, it feels like, so another siege line are established behind them. Yeah, not the most ideal target there. And indeed, that ministry is going to get canceled. Those Phalanxes could unsiege and attack again, since they were just kind of left to their own devices. But I don't think that the Architect Ball is going to be reset anytime soon. Well, look at all of those shots. Ministry landing to absorb some of the pressure, but obviously is just going to be burned down. He's going to lift it off. Only the Dracodens can shoot up here, so I suppose that's something. But this looks like it's running its course, and Neblime has found a way to victory in much a similar fashion as many of his other victories over Ramen, just going back to the Architect. Coming up with a different way to defeat his American homie. Zealots come in to finish off the job on those Phalanxes, and the map becomes a dark and scary place where Ramen only has access to his natural. He is making the 4th Ministry. He does have access to Tier 2, but I don't know how much it matters. Tinker's Tower coming, Starport coming. He's got 1,800 gas. That's enough for Tier 3, but he's got no way is he going to have enough minerals for any of that. Been pumping Phalanx for so long. Ancestral Archives is done. We're adding Rogue Galleries, probably for Barghest. Maybe Charlatan. Yeah, Ramen's had some fantasy GG timings before. I think even Neblime is like, but I have vision of the whole map. Where could he be? And when he's charging in to the entrenched position of the Phalanx with Architects, it's over. GG. Neblime posts up game number 1. And that means we move on to our second match, which I'm very excited about because all of these games should be fairly back and forth. These two players do play each other close more often than not. But Neblime had the better idea on Macroglia. That was, of course, his map pick. We move on to our second map. TopRamen has his chance. Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for game 2. TopRamen in the top left of Corrosion, his map pick for this series, his pick for map number 2. He seems to be the dim gray Terran in the top left, and Neblime in the bottom right is the blue, nope, maroon. Sorry, guys. I know you guys were waiting for me to say blood in my blood voice, but it wasn't necessary. Lattice opener yet again. Neblime is a crafty fellow, but he does like his opening lattice, so don't take that to the bank. You know, if it doesn't work out, he might pivot away from it, but at the same time, it seems to have been giving him some nice impact overall. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes behind all the other matches in this series. I have pulled up the map Veto, so I can tell you guys that Monazite was banned by Neblime. No, he says, to the island map. And interestingly enough, Ramen responds with a Magnetron ban. Doesn't want those, the maps that have like double mineral-only thirds. You know, if you want a gas third, you have to take it very far away or at a very vulnerable spot. So that's kind of interesting there. Now going into our next round, we will be playing on Frozen Sylphid with Impulsion as map 4 and Saberhand as map 5, should we need them. Gilded Wall was the second round ban for Neblime. Quasar Quartet, the second round ban for Ramen. Looks like he's just trying to get rid of some of the maps that he hasn't played that much on. Would be my speculation. And the Vassal's already leaving the building. This time there will be no advance warning for Ramen. And Neblime is going for a second Lattice. Interesting. So you scout the sim, so you know that's happening. And actually the Watchdog was made blind, which is pretty correct versus Neblime, I think. So it just finishes in the nick of time. Oh, he's lost it. Absolute calamity. I knew as soon as he decided to keep flying in despite hearing the sound. To be fair, you can't hear the sound because the Watchdog has more attack range than the Vassal has vision range. So you need to be like on the ball when you react to that. But usually Neblime is. So, you know, the Terran's feeling very happy. His 100 mineral investment just beat the 75 mineral investment of the Vassal. So now another one has to be made. Meanwhile, the Watchdog is just flying away like, who cares? I'm done. I did my job. See ya. Also, I saw that in the chat we had Shane Boydson saying that the air units for the PROTOSS have so much range. The Architect is actually not an air unit. It's a hovering ground unit. So, I don't think did Neblime make an air structure? I don't think so. Vassal, well, I guess the Vassal. That's the only thing he made. Vassal attacking the Vulture here. Confirming in the side of another one. Maybe we'll change where that Watchdog ends up going. We do have a little bit of a sharking attack squad of Simulacrum Idol. I'm a little bit, I feel a little bit chancy here about the play. I mean, he's going 2-gate to follow it. But this doesn't, I don't know. This feels unenjoyable as from the PROTOSS perspective. Knowing that you're opening Gambit versus the Fulcrums is not going to work out super well if you just stick to Lattice, so you need the 2-gate follow. It's very expensive and obviously does delay your expansion for some time. So an anchor is being constructed here, but I don't think it'll be particularly necessary. We saw the Cyclops is dancing with the one Vassal there for a moment. A couple Dracodons are about to pop here, and that will certainly be a good choice. Not on location, that Ministry. It looks like a couple of these fellas are going to get stunned. Pretty good opportunity here to jump on that Idol, for example, as it will not have the Simulacrum split. Ooh, very close to dying there, but he gets the split off, but it's not very useful when it only has 7 health. Some units off the rally are getting attack move hooked. Yeah, loading up the Cyclops and the Anchor to give him extra weapon range helps out a lot as well, and the Ministry is floating over. There you go. So things like this working out just fine. When you hear that little shrill sound effect and see that overlay for a moment, that means that the simulacrum will split in a few seconds. So it gives you a short amount of time to do something about it. That's a lot of sims that just got created off of nothing. Cyclops can be a curse for you versus sims, because they will deal enough damage with just 2 of their shots to make all of the sims split. And then, of course, Neblime can just start walking away. He's really shown a lot of really good micro on the pullbacks, the stutter stepping and such. Ayud probably has better general micro, but Neblime kiting backwards, if you just keep playing into that, you are going to end up losing a lot more units than you think. So, some units are already starting to harvest resources over here in the bottom left. This is a part of corrosion, I suspect, will be a little bit controversial, but also something that people are going to want to try to take use of if they can, since Neblime has been on one base this whole time. He needs to make back some of that money somehow. Another layer of mines. 2 very neat rows here of mines from Ramen. And the vultures slip out, so they can go straight to the bottom left and deny this. This is definitely a problem for Neblime. The vassal was watching in case this sort of thing happened, but Ramen seems to be hell-bent on making it occur. He actually doesn't even check, so yeah, I mean, Neblime is fine in this situation. He doesn't even bother checking. Definitely a misread on the map. I think Ramen should have gone there. However, maybe it's godlike, because Neblime went all the way to the bottom left, and the vultures just showed up to his natural. So Neblime made the right move, Ramen made the wrong move, and Ramen will profit from it. I mean, what else can you say? Gonna get a full scout off, kill a couple of scribes in the process. Remind Neblime he's got a ton of idle workers back at home. Dude, Neblime's off his game with all those idle workers. I won't mince words. Can't believe it. Unbelievable. Neblime. My homie Neblime. Picking off that last worker with that last shot was good. I didn't think he had gotten the retarget correctly, but that was very smart. Ramen going for the 3rd base off the back of that. And we have almost full saturation here for the reservoir. You need that 4th worker minimum. Maybe you'll even need an extra one. Star pad for the Trojan, and we will have a lot of Cyclops coming. So that makes some sense. Sieve is completed. We heard him being finished up earlier. Reminds me of when I first added that unit, and I first added the Ridge Caps in general. And Arbuz, Legend Arbuz Budesh, was saying, he was calling him Terran Steve. I thought that was very good. Very, bring back Steve, you know what I mean? Not quite Minecraft Steve level of fame, but, you know, he can be our Steve. So he went from Cyclops spam to Matador spam. He's still going to go for the Cyclops, but the Matadors are interesting because they can also be loaded up at some point if that is something that Ramen is interested in. And the coverage over here for all these units is very good. So, you know, Neblime immediately pans over to it. He sees it. He knows what's happening. So he can start to defend himself. But because Ramen has been sighted, he is just going to come out on the map and start to go make a run for this little spot over here. This is very good, because that cliff advantage is going to help his Cyclops out. He makes it there before the PROTOSS can try to entrench. And honestly, this PROTOSS army does not do much, right? He's really reliant on any sort of kiting backwards. The Dracodons come in to try to dissuade this. He's already got a nice little spot over here. Ramen's very crafty with the drops, though. He kind of knows what to expect. He's going to unload over here, which is, I guess it's a choice, you know? He's just trying to battle with the Dracodons initially. And then he can grab the survivors and move them away. Looks like he's actually going to make an escape and go towards the miners over here in the top right, while the 12 o'clock gets cleaned up so that he can send his ministry over. This should be pretty scary, actually, for Neblime, because the economy of Ramen is pretty, like, vastly superior, with the exception that this is giving him a lot of free Vespine, and it has not been accurately managed. But the mineral income is so much better, and, I mean, these are reasonable upgrades in terms of Vespine when he starts saturating them. So I feel like he'll be fine. Gas-wise, Neblime is going to be on par with him for some time, but when it comes to the mineral income, much better for Ramen. He can have so much more chaff. Now, he has no advance warning for this attack force coming in. Drop gets preempted. Maybe he can kill a worker or two here. It's not really going to matter too much. Yeah, look, one goes down. Is he going to get one more? No, he will not. And meanwhile, the attack force at 12 o'clock kind of boxes Neblime into a corner if he doesn't just walk away from this. He needs to walk away from having killed all these units, because the Terran army is going to be brought to bear. Matador is charging forward. I love the hallucination there. Try to help the Matadors be brought down before you can really do much. And the Zealots mixed in with all those Cyclops there, so that wasn't good either. But the Matador count is still pretty outrageous. He's going to walk in right on top of everything else. It looks like the blackjacks are going to be routed. Eventually, these Matadors will be brought down, but you can see how long they last, that if there was any DPS to follow them up there, that would have been very devastating for Neblime. At the end of the day, he is big chillin', or as John Cena once said, big chilling, but with an extra letter. We have an Argosy almost halfway complete. He's got the double Grand Library to make more Cantavis if he needs. That extra gas really hurting Ramen. He had an opportunity to shut down the mineral mining over here. He had an opportunity to run the vultures over here in this location. He just hasn't done it. Left the sim over there as well. So what's the transition from this point? He's made a Wraith. He's got the Palladium. He is not developing with, Phalanx count exactly. He is coming up with some now. I mean, Neblime can't kill Ramen, but other than that, it does feel like it's a layup for the Protoss at this point. And I say can't kill him. He can't kill him right now. Tier 2 is going to be Ramen's choice. I can't say I think that that's going to bail him out of this situation, but you got to try something. Attempted Wraith Harass is short-lived. As long as Neblime just kind of sits here and continues to get in his face, I don't think Ramen has a way out of this. With only 2 base eco, and these are, these maps all have 1,500. Oh no, this is a 2K mineral map. Okay, it could be a little bit different. That could be a little bit different then. At least the Wraith can come over here and shut this down. This is outrageous. Ramen doesn't want to, I guess. Matadors go out to see what's going on. There's a bit of a surround fomenting. Third base is well up and running for now, for Neblime. Oh no, the stun! The stun is so... Oh, it happens every time. Oh my god. Well, the Matadors can't really do much. He calls the hash. Might as well say that as a BM move, you know what I mean? We got Magisters coming. I was told that Smarty was the admin for this match. Shout out Smarty, and he said that it was him. So, nothing to see there. Obviously, it would be such a replay that wasn't working properly. Base number 4. Argosy's making Magisters. Third Argosy. Neblime's been liking the Magister lately, I've noticed. Oh, well, thank you. That was $3 to see if you could make it say a SCSI. You did it. There's a text-to-speech donor meta being established as we speak. Thank you for your $3. Don't worry about it. Ramen drops the probably over. GG. Yeah, it sure was over, buddy. But that means that while Neblime seems to be cruising through so far, I do have to point out that that map is not... Like, for Ramen to pick that map and not ever really look at those extra mining outposts feels like hubris. We need to see a little bit more proactivity from him, and I hope we will in Game 3. Howdy, homies. We're back with Neblime versus TopRamen, and we will be seeing some more action from them, this time on the 3-spawn map of Frozen Sylphid. It's right after Neblime banned Gilded Wall. Can you believe that? The orange Protoss in the bottom left is Neblime. The platinum Terran in the bottom right is TopRamen. And I do feel like with the way that Neblime has been playing out this series so far, does Ramen have it in him to come back into it? I would have given a prediction of, I would have at least given him a map. Ramen's been out of the game for a little bit. There was a period of time where he was pretty superior to Neblime, and obviously a longer period of time where Neblime was kind of owning him, figuring him out. But it does feel like we're back to that, We had the I'm better than Neblime sandwich, where Ramen was better than Neblime for the middle, but the buns are Neblime being better than him. Also worth pointing out, too, that Neblime is... Neblime is... he's just been gaming for so long as Protoss. I know Ramen has played a little bit of Zerg. He's also, moonlighted as Protoss when him and Dog were trying to figure out the matchup. Him and Ayud as well. But certainly something that I would see over time is Ramen play a couple of the other races. And Neblime has so fiendishly kept to playing PROTOSS, with the exception of when he's playing against Shambler in the best of 9 and best of 9s that we're still waiting for Shambler to resume working on. That, as a result, Neblime just always is PROTOSS, right? He is perennially PROTOSS. The only exceptions, the only time he will be freed from his bond, as his word is his bond, is if he wins an Acropolis as PROTOSS, he'll go back to Terran. If he fails to qualify to the battlement stage, then he will also... I think he'll go back to Terran. I mean, I imagine he would... That's the only time that he gives himself the excuse, gives himself the out. I feel like he'll be waiting a while longer. Listen, he's in contention to qualify right here and now. Not in the series, of course, but in this tournament. He could qualify to the battlement stage, thus foiling his plan, and then he'll just have to win. That's how it be. Now, I haven't actually seen a lot of matches on Frozen Sylphid, but I like the idea of TVP on this map, so I'm interested in how Ramen decides to navigate it. I feel like there's a lot of terrain you can use to your advantage, and it's a little bit harder for a PROTOSS to maneuver their army around. It kind of reminds me of Court Martial, which I can't even remember what it used to be called back in the day because it's like never played, so I've ejected that trivia from my mind. It's the map that has the diadem in the middle of the map as a bit of a lark. Head him up is very fond of that map. Ramen is going to go ahead and go for the expansion, though. I've seen him pull out ridiculous, like, not really comebacks, but, like, hold out for a really long time on Court Martial. And so it doesn't really surprise me that, this kind of map might be pretty good for him. But at the same time, it was Neblime's map pick. So he's got a plan, and he's going to go for that Grand Library. I think he might be thinking about that Kasuga style, going for the fast Storm drop here. You think about the shape of the natural, it does accept storm drops and any other sort of AoE harassment on the workers pretty well. I don't think you can land it over here and storm across, but it is something to think about. Watchdog is going to get caught over here, and most of the army is actually leaving with the pretty fast witness to clear the mines. This is going to allow him to go for a bit more of an aggressive gateway style. And now he's switching into Artisan, so maybe the Storm Drop is going to come a little bit later, as of course the Grand Library isn't done yet. But squeezing an Artisan out in between, maybe two of them, could certainly be good. Now, the Vultures just decided to keep walking and driving. It's like they were all collectively bending over to look at their phone and weren't looking at the road, and the Dracodons just started pelting them when they weren't even paying attention. One of them goes down. Cyclops in the anchor. You're going to make it pretty hard for Neblime to make stuff happen. And look at that! Some of his units actually getting stunned by the Zealot. And another round onto the Hierophant. Very good. That's slow after the... Oh, that was close. That slow after the stun onto the Zealot was not too bad. Artisan starting that. Why is he harvesting at 6? Is this some kind of ego play? He's like, yeah, I can harvest right next to you, dude. Honestly, the real Artisan move, though, is to move it into your enemy's worker line and start harvesting their resources. That's what I would do. I would also lose, but forget about that part. Pretty good stuns here. It's definitely going to help out with those Cyclops shells. That's expensive for Neblime. He overstepped his bounds. The Witness was right here. I don't feel like there's much of an excuse for that. The Idle Worker, but Witness version, Idle Witness. Coming back in soon, though. No mines to speak of. Man, I don't like the... versus the sheer number of Cyclops that he's got, I don't necessarily like this from Neblime, but he's going to try to stick around and keep pelting his opponent with the phase disruptors. He's like very, very close to losing some of those Dracodons, though. Nexus is coming, but it's pretty late, and Ramen's already on the Palladium tech. I like this. I think this is going to work out pretty well for him. More Vulture Mines being laid, but again, the Witness is right there, so it's going to be a little bit hard. This is starting to build back into what he had before. Oh my god. Neblime. You naughty boy. You can't just walk right in to a bunch of those mines and live to tell the tale. Cantavis almost going down to Cyclops Fire. Well, the Palladium has shut down his production for a little bit, and only now is he adding more Cyclops. This could still be kind of bad. But while you're taking pot shots at the mines, you do need to be shooting them. You know what it reminds me of? It's really funny, but if you guys have played MOBAs, then you know that like when your opponent is trying to do some creep score, they're trying to get some farming going, that's when you attack them, especially in bot lane. So anyway, that's my League of Legends-ism for the time. Now, Zealots are going pretty deep here. They will eventually be brought down before the Phalanx can be damaged. And where's the follow-up? I guess the storm is pretty good on the workers. That's definitely true. Looking kind of dire, but we do have Phalanxes coming in to stabilize. Ramen's got a lot of money in the bank, too. Definitely needs to get that spent. I guess at the same time, though, he's had more workers for longer. I mean, this Nexus only just freshly finished, more or less. Witnessing what's going on, the anchor gets canceled immediately. A storm onto the Phalanxes, and there's two of them in the spot. Oh, but he snipes down the Cantavis. Still, this should result in the death of some of these guys. Yeah, losing two Phalanx for that feels like a lot of critical pressure that has been lost. Oh my god, he's just going to run in. Of course he is. Change the target! I guess not. Okay. Adding more fulcrums, but everything is idle. Not great. There you go. More Phalanx, one Vulture. Starpad comes up as well. Wouldn't surprise me for Neblime to go for base number 3 here, and his Crucible is done. He's adding Stargates. Well, a Stargate, I should say. There it is. Now he's adding Stargates. There you go. He made me correct later. That's all. So I feel like with the Stargate play, I mean, he's already got access to Goliaths, but if he wants to take them by surprise, man, those Vulture Mines are so ridiculous. But 3 of them off to the front here is not ideal. Atreus will go down. He's trying to keep him in tank mode, which does make sense. I love the targeting onto the Draconins. That is exactly what he needs to do. Unfortunately, so many of his units are just going to get heavily hankered by the Zealots. But yeah, he's really thin to the line, right? He's only got 5 Phalanx, but his opponent only has like a few Zealots. That Watchdog is kind of a problem, too. Ramen has no idea that there's Stargate play, but... Oh, no. Never mind, it's not a problem. So an Anseal's coming up. I like the idea of it. It's going to help shoo away the Witness. A lot of Phalanx, so assailing this position is going to be pretty challenging. There's one Watchdog in the mineral-ish line of that. By the way, these artisans are still mining. Land the Watchdog, dude. He doesn't see him, but if he did, that would be really good. It's a sick Phalanx line. The anchor is empty, and no other units are being... I guess he's making Vultures he can put in there, but... No! He laid like 40 mines in one spot. Oh dear. Now, if he was pushing the Phalanxes forward during this, I would actually think this is potentially a pretty good play. As it is, he's just kind of heckling here and there, but finally we'll strip out the Zealot in that situation. Tier 2 on the way for TopRamen. Wants to win this game a little bit later. Base number 3 at the 9 o'clock-ish spot. For Neblime. Oh dear. Well, a lot of the gateway value just going down the drain. By the way, the Watchdog, did it go? I don't even know where it went. I think maybe the Auroras have shown themselves. Madrigals are on the way. A deployed Phalanx is on the way in a drop. Yeah, so this will keep the Auroras busy. Watchdog lands just to be slightly easier to kill. Unfortunately, the Phalanx does not get out. That would have been a good move. Maybe kill a couple of Scribes on the way. Expensive loss, but it also stopped the Auroras from just moving straight in, and now the Madrigals are out, right? So there's some value in that, even though it didn't end up getting anything done. The Witness is so annoying here for Ramen. He's going to lose his entire minefield. Oh, well, not before a couple of those end up popping anyway. Tier 2 is complete. First Madrigal salvo bleeds the shields of the Aurora. Yeah, when you scale up the fights, it's a little bit harder for the Protoss army, it seems. Okay, base number 3 is on the way for our Terran. He's also adding the captaincies, courtesy of his Tier 2. Don't crash, Shambler. Unitary Union is 1/4 of the way there. Yeah, here come all of the Auroras. They're going to scout Atlas, but the Madrigals need to scramble over, and these Phalanxes are blocking the way. Of course, Neblime's also trying to be a bit of a heckler on the way out. So far, 3 Masons have gone down. You do need to kind of hightail it out of there after that. Vultures and Cyclops trading in the meanwhile. I think you keep like 3 Madrigals here. Maybe 4 and then
I am a hero.
Stop doing that. We have the captaincies coming out. I do think Ramen has this habit of going tier 2 and then he like techs and then he techs again. You know what I mean? It's like 3 layers of tech if he goes for that add-on first. But he's going to go for apostles here. Okay. I could see that working out particularly versus the ground comp because it's a little bit under strength. But I feel like Auroras are a good stylistic counter because they will just, you know, right-click the apostles. Not really a way that you can stop that. And if they get right on top of them and the Madrigals kill them, then they're going to be dealing splash damage to everything, so... Well, one of the Madrigals goes down for free. Single Vulture has begun heckling stuff over here. And Disruption Field coming out, I like it. Very fancy with it. Shutting down a lot of these Phalanx before they can shoot. Finally, the Madrigals will clear them. And yeah, the ground army is just going to get absolutely shellacked as a result. Couldn't quite focus down the Madrigals, and so, well, here he's going to try to spread out his units, but, oh dear. No, that's not the unit you wanted. Oh, you can see them all go for the move. Yeah, they kind of annihilated all the corpses there, because as soon as they drop and go for their last orders, that kind of thing happens. Another Phalanx drop has come out. Oh dear. 14 frags. Battle workers. Wiggle, wiggle. I feel like with the gas float that Neblime has, he definitely could have a little bit more tech. But seems like he's struggling to figure out, okay, what do I build versus like Phalanx, Madrigal, Cyclops, Apostle? That's a funny one. No ridge in this base, by the way, so only gas. Less resources in general. Even though this has happened, it's still better eco here for Neblime. He's got a better base over here at the, I guess we'd call it 10. Heracles coming out as a pretty sturdy front line, but the Strigas are not far. Pretty quick reaction there. Doesn't end up losing any scribes. I wonder if he... Did he load a wounded Phalanx or what? This is so silly. He doesn't even kill them. There you go. All that for 2 workers. 4 more Phalanx on the way in production. I mean, Ramen's got a decent army. I don't know if the Architects are going to be able to deal with this. They cannot outrange the Phalanx. And there's no other units over... Oh my god. He's still in an Architect voice. And look at that. Just calls out, throws out the GG. And it looks like in the minimap there you can actually see there is another one of those Phalanx drops dirtily damaging the main base. And also I crashed. But that doesn't mean it wasn't an epic game. And it also doesn't mean that we're done with this series, because Ramen just ended up dub posting. Epic. Homies, 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 it's game 4, and we might even have game 5. Can you believe it? Impulsion is where we find ourselves, and Saberhand. I'm salivating over the idea of these two fighting on Saberhand. Hopefully Ramen can do it. Make it happen. Art of John's. My game hashed. Thanks, Ramen. Ramen is in the bottom right. Oh, dude, I don't know what color this is. Silver? Gray. Just classic gray. Gray, Terran in the bottom right. Neblime in the top left seems to be... I don't know this color. Have I seen this color before? It ain't Delft blue. It's too bright. Cornflower blue? Royal blue. Okay, there you go. Gateway coming out at you. Fulcrum coming out at you. I don't think these players are going to change too much, but Neblime has open Gateway instead of Lattice, so that's worth writing home about. I do feel like Ramen has shown that you can't disregard his ability to assemble something resembling a worthwhile defense there. And the mines, man. Like, Ramen put the mines out there, and there is an interesting interaction where even if you have detection vision of the mines, if there are other combat units nearby, they're going to override priority. And so you're going to attack move into the vultures, and then the mines go off as the vultures retreat. And that's what you actually want to do in those sort of early game skirmishes that aren't just like the initial 2 units you have or whatever, right? So I was going to say like mid-sized skirmish, but that wasn't really what that was. So Ramen scouts Gateway. I don't know if he clicked on the rogue gallery. This is like a, what is this? Gateway Gallery Lattice. This build is either going to fall flat on its face, we go to game 5 real quick, or Neblime will win the series off of this. And I know that's like kind of the only two things that can happen in terms of the outcome, but it's going to be kind of polarizing. I don't know if we're going to get into a long game off of this. Barguest? What? He's gonna be so sad. He made the cloaked units, and here we go, the lodestones here with mines around it. I mean, it's for anti-Kabbalist, right? But that is outrageous. So it did get buffed recently. It's a little bit cheaper and constructs a little bit faster, so it's less downtime for your ministry. Provides detection, and you can garrison units into it, which is a little bit less relevant for the Masons themselves. But you know, you can put vultures in there or whatever. For the air threat, there is only going to be the Cyclops. Okay, vassal with him. Now, I could see this being really annoying, actually. At first, I didn't believe. Then I began to believe. With only Dracodons elsewhere, you know, this could be pretty neat. I love all the mines, dude. Ramen's made so many mines. He wants to go for his ministry. There's no way he's going to be protecting the Barguest play, right? He's sitting here waiting to see any shimmers. His eyes are peeled tight. You know, he's like, oh, where is it? Where is it? Show me your Kabbalist. Meanwhile, there's no Kabbalist to be seen. He's not making that. Pretty good mind game, though. Maybe he just decided he would make a different unit because it was scouted. That's another thing. He could have gone for Kabbalist, but then the Mason scouted it, so he's like, nah. The lodestone's still useful, though. Obviously, the Barguest itself is cloaked until it attacks, just like any other PROTOSS unit that has cloaking or is cloaked by a didact. So he's just going to make a lot of air units until it's scouted, and then he's going to attack with the air units. That's basically what he's doing right now, and it could scale up to being something that's pretty hard for Ramen to deal with. All he's got in there, by the way, are vultures, so there's no anti-air over here, no watchdogs or anything. And it looks like Neblime is going to go and attack at the same time as his Nexus gets put down. Obviously, he's behind the 8-ball in terms of the speed of the Nexus, because Ramen is almost done with his ministry now, but this is huge for Ramen. He didn't pan over, though. He panned over kind of late. Now, is he going to actually make something? I think when you see that many air units, he probably didn't see the shimmer, though, is the problem. You do want more than just one watchdog. This is going to hit like a truck, honestly. He's got some Cyclops here. He's got a watchdog. He might be okay. I don't want to get overhype over it. But Barguests actually do a surprising amount of damage. And of course they give armor pen, so the vassals are going to just eliminate the watchdog real quick. Barguests reveal themselves. Initial vassals going down. Yeah, it's not actually too bad. You know, one Cyclops going down, and he clears 3 vassals. Doesn't put much damage onto the Barguest. In fact, none, it looks like, besides shields. Which in a PROTOSS are fine with. That probably went as good as it could have gone for Ramen, given he did not have advanced warning. Scrapyard's going down. He's clearly going to be going after the very important play of... oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at how fast that almost killed that watchdog, dude. Isn't that so good? Mason scouts the very small number of workers over here in the main base. Or the natural, rather. I don't think Ramen noticed. I don't really know what Neblime's going to be doing here. You know, like, his units are getting caught by mines. There's so many units here for Ramen. You got Blackjacks coming as well. Hold on. I think we're going to Saberhand, surely. Like, I guess if he kites away from the Cyclops and they walk into each other, yeah, that he'll disengage, but like, just look at the tempo here. Like, Neblime does have more workers. Somehow. Don't ask me how. But I don't think he's got the better setup. He's going for the Unitary. Remember, Rogue Gallery is Tier 2, so when you make it, you get access to the Unitary Union and other Tier 3 adventures. Vultures see this Nexus. I mean, you can be very, very aggressive here from Ramen's POV. You just scouted the very fast third base. The enemy's army is all over the place. You're laying your mines to get map control. I would love some more in the middle of the map. Witness is coming out, but, you know, that'll announce itself as well. Vulture's now trying to scramble. They probably could have gone some other place. One of them does end up escaping. Cyclops and Blackjacks are going to be pretty good at dealing with the Zealots initially. And look at that. Neblime did the anti-kiting. He's walking into all the Cyclops shots. Whew, down goes the Vagrant. Very quick spank into that unit. More Cyclops to come. A Ministry halfway complete for base number 3 as Ramen has elected to be somewhat aggressive, but he's also just like, yeah, I'll just match you with macro. That's fine. He's very far down in workers, though, so we know that. I don't know if Ramen knows that. Vulture gets 1 kill, but still ties up one of the Dracodons, and you got to be somewhat careful over here. You know, Ramen's army is pretty brittle. Not very tanky initially. This is where you need to be fighting when you know your opponent wants to pursue you. This is when you need to start thinking about, okay, I got to start shooting with my Cyclops, because then they're going to walk through it. And instead of you walking through it because they're kiting you, you got to start kiting them back. But, yeah, the Dracodon count seems to have achieved a critical mass. It can riposte this many Cyclops. Base number 3 going to move over to the bottom left. I thought for a long time there was a lot of potential here for the Terran army here, but it does look like PROTOSS is stabilized, and an Architect is going to come out here in a moment. It's going to be really hard for Ramen to engage. He does not have any Vultures left over, really. He's really struggling to deal with all those kiting moves that are happening. That's kind of what the Matadors were for, but Ramen he made the scrapyard, and then he didn't really make anything else out of it. Really needs to reinforce his mid-range. And he had mines to fall back to, too, so it's a little bit unforced to be going after it like that. 4 Cyclops, maybe move up here to the top left base. Instead, he's actually going to flank with them, which I guess is fine. A lot of shots to try to dodge. Neblime does admirably nonetheless. Ooh, nice stuns over there. The Matadors can go right after that Architect if they want to. Nice stun. Very nice. Unfortunately, he doesn't actually commit to it. A little bit too scared of the Architect, and then he falls back, and you saw that split was nasty. Watchdog blocking 12 o'clock for base number 4. Vulture blocking 9 o'clock. Neblime will have to do something about that. Mason sighted moving over. There's a very far distance. You know, Ramen has chosen to take the very far base instead of the 3 o'clock. Man, all that friendly splash damage because of those 2 Zealots that just decided to traipse over there. I don't think the Architect is going to be able to escape here, but it's doing a good job of kiting away so that the Cyclops friendly splash does a lot of self-damage. Well, you kind of want to phase the Cyclops out of your comp at this point. You can still make them, but you want to use them as like drops or maybe move them around the map because they're pretty mobile. But you want to go for like Matador Blackjack because you're not going to be dealing splash damage and punishing yourself for kiting. Like, PROTOSS already get a benefit from kiting because their shields will start to kick in. Matadors help neutralize that, but if you're still doing damage to yourself because of the Cyclops, it's not as helpful. Ramen also in need of more Fulcrums. He's adding 2 more behind it. Ancestral Archives coming for Neblime as Tier 4 development. Certainly coming into fruition. Love some Vultures with this army as well, to be fair, but I don't think we're going to see any anytime soon. An Architect does go down. We got one more in the way back. 500 damage already to its name. And no healing or sustain for this army for Ramen, so all that is confirmed. Unanswered. Golem doesn't last very long, but that's alright. And it does look like our 6 o'clock base here is going to be run down. Too many Masons piloting over there, so 12 of them evacuate back towards the natural. I really feel like he should have just taken this base, right? Like, you know, Neblime's very happy scouting that there's no third here. If he came over here thinking it was a 4th, that would be a different story. Anchor being made. Looks like Ramen wants to run down the Architect, which is a good choice with the Blackjack. This is what I was talking about earlier. The Matadors being in front would be helpful, but using the Blackjacks to try to run them down is a good choice overall. Needs to do something about 6 o'clock, though. Really needs to secure that base to have a chance in this game. Archon on the way on second Ancestral Archives. Yeah, I think Neblime knows what's up. He doesn't need Tecton here. He's just going to go Archon. And when he does that, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to deal with that? When it dies, it storms all of your units, and then they get worse because they're Blackjacks. Ramen's going to give it a go. His Atlas is nearly complete. It will be some time before he can actuate it because he's going to be busy microing his army. And he definitely needs to. The Blackjacks slowly moving forward, but all the Matadors are already dead. All of them are already dead, and it feels like his scrap army was not enough to hold Neblime at bay. As the last of them fall, the Zealots once again arrive, and he can't even get into the anchor. He did. Brave soul. Not that it matters much. Matadors are going to be dropped. They're going to need to do a lot of heavy lifting here. I don't think Ramen has a chance, man. 1,300. The Draconid spots the drop, leaving the base to add insult to injury. Everything clumping up over here. The Archon sighted, forces the GG out. And TopRamen has been felled in Game 4. I really thought he had a lot of potential going into that mid-stage. But as Neblime has a little victory lap here, must be said, there was an advantage for a moment. He decided he would just try to match the macro, but Neblime already had such a huge worker lead. Pretty early, like getting 8 workers up that early on is pretty monumental. And I don't think that was because he made the lodestone. That doesn't explain all of it. There was something else going on there. Mind games within mind games. Neblime moves on. He will face the winner of our next series, which is Shambler versus Smarty Cakes. Join us for that. GG.